As I said in the overall presentation in Unit 2 video, I talked to you a little bit about how the service delivery function of governments is really about the front line. It's about the services that Canadians are expecting from governments, but it's also about the services that governments are providing to Canadians on behalf of the collective, of the common good, of the general interest. What we're looking at in this unit more specifically as well is how service delivery can have different phases, the kind of service deliveries that we're looking at. One thing that we have to be fully aware of is that it is the front line. It is the visible part of what government does. The invisible part is what we have discussed until Unit 4, but this is really just the visible part. And this is where government and governments, generally speaking, engages the most in governance. In other words, in partnering with service providers on behalf of the government itself, or whether it's federal, provincial, territorial, or sometimes local units of government, cities, for instance. So the big question here is, for instance, should governments rely more or less on public-private partnership? Should government rely more or less on partnering with non-profit? And this is exactly the core, because these public-private partnership, these non-profit partnership involve obviously the delivery of services to people. And the perception that is given here becomes really important. Certain services delivered by public-private partnership would be delivered to citizens, consumers. The big question is to understand what we're doing, obviously. Are we being effective? Are we being efficient? You know the idea about effectiveness of service delivery or efficiency of service delivery? When we are being efficient, we have a dollar value in mind, and we have overall a limited budget in mind. But when we want to be effective, we actually want to provide the services to the largest number. And these are very, very different policy approaches. So the partnering in outside of the public sector, the partnering with the private sector, with the non-profit organizations, but also our understanding of the kind of services that we're providing have tremendous implication on the service delivery itself. Also, information communication, which I know, is kind of a grab bag to talk about how computers and the web and courses like this one, for instance, can be delivered online, and also services can be provided online, and the difficulties that come with this are changing modes of service delivery. So this is not something that we can completely ignore. But these progressive transformations in the 1970s of services because of partnering, but also because of information communication, the ability to provide certain kind of services to a much greater number becomes really important. Unless people don't have the capacity to access the service because they don't have internet or they don't have computers, and so these are the issues that I want us to discuss here. Are governments providing services to consumers, to clients, to citizens? What does this mean for the service? So in this unit, we basically look at a few readings by Zussman, Kernaghan and Berardi, Langford and Roy, Dutil Howard, that are very interesting readings because they raise all these issues in great depth. And they allow you to basically rethink, even if you think that you are at the top of these issues and you understand them very well, you may learn something from doing the reading in depth. Certainly the Dutil Award Langford and Royd article, which I think differentiates very clearly between what is a customer, what is a client, what is a citizen, and how the services would vary according to the definition that we have, is a very interesting article. It raises some really tough questions. Also, looking at partnering, as this man, for instance, discusses in his paper, and the role of the public-private partnerships and the role of private provision of public services is a really interesting discussion here as well. I know some of you have great practice, but you will see also in this class that it allows you to step back and reflect on your practice and look at the critical assessments of some of the experts in the country. Both Dussman and Langford are really well-established scholars in this area. They raise very interesting questions. So I allow you, and I encourage you, to read these articles carefully and to address the weekly question, and then I'll find you, obviously I'll see you on the course space for the discussion this week. And I wish you a wonderful unit. Thank you very much.